All right, Doug, I hope you can hear us now. Yes?
He's muted.
He's muted.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Stuart.
All right, we got you too. All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call here. Why don't you start it off?
Jim Miller.
Doug. Got Stuart Hill, and then Douglas Irvine is on Zoom. I don't know that any of us have the March 11th meeting minutes.
They were emailed with the agenda.
Were they? Okay. Would somebody like to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve the, is it March 11th meeting, 2021?
Doug, would you please second that?
I second it.
Thank you.
I see there's a delay, isn't there?
Not too bad delay. All right. We'll go ahead and start with, actually, we really need to put elections in here. Is we don't have a vice chairman right now. I would like to put Doug in as our vice chairman.
Second that motion.
Any questions?
Way to throw me under the bus, Stuart.
Yeah, well, there's three of us, buddy, you know. When we get more people, we'll do a full election again. So you're it. All right.
Okay.
You're good with that. All right. We'll go ahead and
Unanimous.
unanimously take that one. Doug, you are now vice chair.
Well, I'm on third.
All right. Let's go ahead and start, Michael, then with your mountain parks update.
Okay. Yeah, we got quite a few things going on on the mountain. An update on the mountain well water system. The water system's on to the temporary structure. Joe is still trying to obtain proper chlorine residuals. I believe he took a water test. Even if those residuals don't quite get there, the water test will deem the water potable. But because that water line sat for so long, it's hard. He's at the max level of chlorine, trying to push it through to get that residual in there. But he's working on that, and we're close. So I think we're going to have potable water if we don't already. The trail center, the new proposed trail center, at the commissioner work session on November 18th, I was assigned to prepare a draft or request for proposal for the new lodge and site based on the consultant's concept. This hasn't been issued out yet for requests to be sent in or proposals in. We're waiting on a little legal clarification and a little verbiage. So we're getting close to that. I spoke with the chairman of the commission, and it sounds like we're gonna make sure it gets advertised for the first time a week from this Sunday, because we missed the deadline for the paper yesterday. So that's where we're at. Hopefully we can get back on track and get that going.
And was it 45 days?
We have to put it in there in the paper 2 consecutive Sundays. We'll advertise it on the county website for architectural services, and we'll probably send out the request to some of the local architects via email, just to make sure they didn't miss it on the bid forms or the advertisement. And then I don't remember the timeline for them turning their proposals in. When we started this, we were hoping it was a really tight timeline to get a permanent structure up by next Thanksgiving at 22. So we pushed back a couple weeks past that, but depending on weather and everything. But we're making big steps forward, so that's good. The other thing on the temporary building, operations, the plan is I'm going to issue keys to some of the user groups, to the high school coaches, and they're going to have to check the key out for me so I know who has a key to the structure. I'm going to request kind of a generic tentative schedule, if they're there every Wednesday, a certain group, to know that they're there. And, the teams, I know they're going to be there every weeknight, so that, we can check and we can make sure that we have toilet paper and paper towels, and it's cleaned and that. And so if we can get the word out to the different user groups, they can contact me, we'll get a key, talk about how to operate it, until we can find either somebody to contract or an employee to put up there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'll probably take the initiative to be checking on it regular, or at least once or twice those days to make sure it's locked up, make sure it can be used. I spend quite a bit of time up there, so I think between myself and hopefully Jim and maybe a couple other people, somebody in the Nordic Club, we can get that open during the day on the weekends. So that's my best plan right now.
Is that going to work out, Jim?
We'll see.
Okay.
Another thing about the temporary lodge, I took a quick glance in the electrical panel. The outlets that are on the countertop there, there's two individual 20 amp circuits. 20 amp circuit can typically run conservatively around 5 crock pots, 5 to 7. So we can look at 10 to 14 crock pots for a potluck for a ski team dinner up there. I mean, those crock pots usually aren't on high because we're not cooking everything in place. It's cooked already, we're just keeping it warm. So I think we can manage that with those 2 circuits. And so hopefully we can still have the team dinners, or I think some of the other user groups have a meal up there once in a while. Grooming, we've started grooming. I'm sure there'll be grooming in the morning with the snow that's coming. So hopefully we can start getting a pretty good base down. Right now it's still rock ski time. Jim probably has a better idea of the conditions up there than I do. I haven't been up.
If I may talk, I was up there a couple times today, and Marvin was grooming the parking lot hill from Skunk Holler up to the maze, because they just had taken a bunch of snow from the North 40 and hauled it to that section where it's just not holding any snow. So they
Okay.
say they worked a hard day of getting snow on there, so when this snowstorm comes that we're hitting right now, we'll have snow. But I noticed that he had groomed around the maze a little bit. He has to get on over for the maintenance building. But it's in the wooded area, it's holding snow, but any area that's clean or cleared, it's got a lot of dirt and rocks in it.
Yeah, the wind's just eating it up. Now on Rotary Park and the Bridle Trail, Parks has closed the Rotary Park for the season, except for walkers from the parking lot. They can still go in from there until Road and Bridge can no longer plow that. And I think Doug's got a little bit of an update on that, which he can do now if he wants, or we can wait till then.
Yeah, let's let Doug go ahead and speak now about that.
Sure. I just wanted to relay, I've been up on the Bridle Trail recently a couple of times, and as Mike Hagler communicated, 71 Construction had put in some treated timbers to take some of the steep sections and grade it out a little bit into like large, almost like stair sections. And that's been done on the lower portions. I think we would want to see about doing the same thing on the last bit of the new trail, the very steepest bit right at the top by Mr. Chrisman's corner. But the work they did looks good on the lower parts. They also restored the trail from all the washout damage in that section as well. So that kudos to 71 Construction, because they made a big difference on the portion they worked on.
Fantastic news.
Thanks, Doug. So our wayfinding signage program, we have RGG as a consultant. We're nearing the finalization of the bid documents. We had a meeting, Brooke and I were both in it this morning with them, talking about one more public input session, and What I'm hoping the Parks Board would like to do is have a special meeting to review the wayfinding signs. We'll have RDG on via Zoom. They'll present the updated documents as final as we have them right now for sign locations, information on the signs, and we can get some public input as to, maybe Hogadon needs to say Hogadon ski area or something to that effect. Minor things, really, and kind of just go over the locations of the signs to see if anybody has a lot of heartburn about where one is or isn't. And so I was hoping to conduct that, have you guys conduct that special meeting next Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday at 5:30. This room's available. I spoke with Michelle about that today, and we just need to let RDG know which day works best for them, or for us.
Okay.
So I wanted to leave that up to the Parks Board to decide which evening we could do that. And then we can finalize that and get those documents out to the commissioners, and we can then get it to bid to construct the vehicular wayfinding signs. The kiosks are kind of in a final approach, but we don't know what information we're gonna put on those at this time, so we'll be waiting for the grant, but RDG is still gonna prepare those bid documents so that we have them ready. So when we get the grant awarded to us, we can proceed with funding the kiosks. And then as we start that process, we need to have public input, and I think the Parks Board can handle it as to what needs to be on, what information needs to be on those kiosks. Any questions on that?
Is there a design of that kiosk yet?
There is. And I may have sent, if you had the wayfinding package, you may have got it. If not, I will send you the kiosk design and concept of it to the Parks Board so you guys can see that.
That'd be great. Doug, did you get that by chance?
Yes, I believe I got the packet from Michael in one of the emails.
Right, it was like a file format link because the document was really large, so you had to click on it and download the zip file.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like then it will be the two of us that need one.
Okay.
Mr. Miller and myself, I think. While we're here, we have stoppage. Let's say, Doug, are you available? The 16th, I'm not sure my availability on the 15th. I may have to go to Cheyenne.
Yeah, I would vote for Friday or Thursday.
Okay. Jim?
I'm free.
You're free. Why don't we do the 16th Thursday?
My life is tough.
I can do that.
Okay, let's do the
12,
16th. Will that work? Brooke, does that fit your calendar too?
That's what I'm looking.
All right. One more calendar to check.
Yeah, and we decided, we wanted to have it in the evening so that we could get some more public involved. You know, sometimes when we do it mid-afternoon, a lot of people are still working and can't quite make it, so.
I have a work health meeting, but I will figure out a way to split between both. Like do that one first for a bit and then, yeah, it's fine. Because I think the
Okay.
idea is for it to be a working session where you can solicit input from the public.
Yep.
So it would just be listening on our part.
Okay, so they're going to present and, yeah, we can take it from there. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do that on the 16th at 5:30 in the same room.
Okay, I will set that up with Michelle to make sure we have the room, and I'll notify RDG first thing in the morning.
Fantastic. Now, you have a sign there now? What?
Well, this is actually for more of the grooming. Jim presented this to Mike Hagler. Maybe I can put it up there. Basically, it's some general rules about don't walk on the trail in your boots. Your dogs aren't allowed on groom trails. You know, do the appropriate tire pressure on there and snowshoeing. So the initial plan here is this sign's used over at Jackson Hole Nordic. But the plan is we're gonna laminate 3 or 4 of these, get them up, and see what kind of feedback we might get from the public when they see the new sign. You know, they'll call the Parks Department and say, I hate your sign, I love your sign. It's an attempt because there's a lot of walkers, a lot on Struby and some in the maze that especially early in the season, they just want to go for a walk like they did all summer. Well, if you don't have your snowshoes on, you're potholing the grooming, which makes it difficult to maintain, makes it difficult to ski on. So we're just trying to get that information out to everybody so they understand trail etiquette, and this is one way of doing it. We looked at a few different options. County drafted up a sign similar to this, but it had all this information, just looked different. And Mike and I and a couple of the folks in Road and Bridge and Joe looked at it, and everybody liked this blue sign better. So we're gonna throw it up there and see. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
So, just on the enforcement side of that, do we have a date when it starts?
Can you step up to the mic here? That way we can get Doug listening to you also.
Yeah.
Looks like it's a light on it.
I just thought it was something, make sure we're covering it.
We've got IT working on this.
All right, so I was just wondering if there was a date when the trails close to foot traffic and open to skis, snowshoes. Like, we need to put a date. We need to have a date for that, right? Because one snowstorm, is that when it starts every year? First snowstorm? Because it's going to be really hard to,
I don't think there's a specific date.
so that's why.
I think that the intent is, once we start grooming and we're laying corduroy down, that's when we don't want.
I know, but if
Fall is.
we come up with a date just every year, say
Yeah.
November 1st, every year, depending on, regardless of the weather, they're closed to foot traffic.
I'll look into that and see
See what we have in the rules, because I think we had
what's
something in the rule
rules
book.
and then what a good date is, and I'll kind of collaborate with the Parks Board and Brooke and see, after I review the rules, see what we can come up with.
Because we can tell people not to be in there, but if, like, from our side of it, for the enforcement side,
You
if
have
we,
to have
if we
something.
get 2 inches of snow, is it closed? Or can they still walk on it? You know what I mean? So,
What they have out there right now is a handwritten sign on both, up at the big parking lot and down at Skunk Holler.
right,
It just says, trails are closed to dogs, walkers. Once the grooming has started.
right. And so I just,
That's when he puts that out there, and it's hard to say earlier than that, just because like this winter,
mhm,
everyone's still hiking like crazy.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
kind of.
maybe we need to eventually get some official signage that is seasonal and we can put it up once we start grooming. It's like, I saw that on the Parks Board blog, they noted that closed to hiking, closed to dog walking. So just whenever we do that, and as Jim said, it's going to be seasonal, because if we pick a date, we're going to have a dry year and not have any snow till January. So I think if we had some large official signage that can be put up and taken down, then I think it would go a long ways towards communicating that.
Yeah, and
Another
then communicating with the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as
That
it's
date
in,
is,
as long as it's in the park,
Communicate.
yeah, as long as it's in the rule book or parks rules, then we can do it. And we can do it that way too. As soon as it's posted by Joe or you guys, we're good to enforce it, right? But it just, whatever signage we have to put up, we have to make sure the park rules reflect that, or we can't enforce it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I'm just not sure how the details in the park rules are on that, so we'll look that up.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah, good points. Thank you.
So we're up to item 7, the bear trap shelters RFP. So earlier this fall, the Parks Department prepared a request for proposal to replace the 3 shelters. With that, we had 4 engineering firms present written proposals. They were individually reviewed and scored. The top 2 highest scoring written proposals were selected for interviews. Parks then conducted interviews on December 7th, and those were scored by, that was, there were 3 of us there, I'm trying to remember who. And the anyways, the top choice of those, the one that was scored the highest, has been contacted and price contract negotiations has started. And that actually, we're meeting with that company tomorrow morning to discuss their contract and their proposed price. And so we're hoping to have contracts awarded, we're hoping to get that on the 12/21 commissioner meeting, which I know we're kind of getting close, but as soon as we're done with the negotiations, we're gonna get to legal, they'll review it, and then hopefully we'll get it on there. If not, then it would be the following meeting, I would hope. And so.
Michael, at what point would we be able to review designs?
Review what?
Review designs of the shelters? Because we haven't seen anything in
Well,
terms of a sketch.
We actually
or,
haven't seen specific drawings either. This is just to obtain
Yeah.
engineering services to survey the site, design the shelter, or choose which kit they're gonna use. So this is just for the engineering, because we have to meet ADA compliance with slopes and whatnot, and the grading, and then access road into there. The intent, the request we put out had one ADA parking site, and then I believe 6 additional parking locations at the shelter. So I can send you a drawing of where we're proposing these, where we've done the
no,
geotech.
Mike, yeah, that's totally fine. I just wanted to make it clear for the public viewing audience that, as we discussed at the work session, this is a multi-phase process, and we're just in the phase that is going to generate the engineering drawings that we can then review for design. So
Correct. And
just
then-
wanted to make
and-
sure everybody was aware of that.
Yeah, and all the engineering firms are of the understanding that they're gonna have a public presentation at some time of what they're proposing or the options they're proposing to the public. So that's where we're at with that. Yeah, and thanks for that
Excellent. Thank you, Michael.
clarification. Are there any questions on the bear trap shelters?
No, sir, thank you. Any more from you, Doug? You good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
We have a summer trails master plan being drafted at this point in time. The company is K-Land. I think you guys may have seen a previous draft of it. We've had some user group involvement there. Central Wyoming Trail Alliance, I think somebody from Fat Fish might have been involved. Coach Kenner, who covers kind of the Nordic as well as the running groups, as a representation there. And so there was an updated draft that I received on December 6th. I sent it to the Parks Board. I'm going to send that draft out to the user groups in the morning, so that we can, because Kayleen has requested user group input into this. What do you guys think of where we're at now?
Absolutely.
And so that project will continue on. Hopefully we'll have a master plan by the spring, so maybe we can improve some of the biking trails and hiking trails on the mountain. Scott with K-Land his knowledge of trails is just beyond the pale, really. I mean, he knows them, he understands them. He's walked most of what we had in October. I met with him up there bear trapping, we had a discussion, and, he's impressed with some of the things we did. He thinks there's a lot of places to improve it, different levels of trails we can have, and kind of ease the traffic off the Eadsville Trail a little bit, and give some other opportunities, for people without butchering up the hillside anymore, So, it's a good project, and it'll help out a lot, I think. Any questions on the summer trail plan?
You might contact Harry Brubaker with the Nordic Ski Club.
Okay,
They have him on the user group.
yeah, I think we missed him on the first go-around. because he was occupied or something. And I think you were out of town when we started it. So we ended up with Justin, but yeah, I'll get Harry back in on it.
Yeah, Justin represents a high school in his running group, so.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be good. And I think we had.
You'll have to call him because he doesn't do emails or
Okay.
texts or.
Yep.
If you let me know when you're going to call, I'll tell him to answer it.
Okay.
Harry.
Sounds good. So, the last thing I have for the mountain is the Wyoming Land and Water Conservation Fund grant. We had Ashley, I butcher her name every time, Badesh. She works for Sustainable Strategies. She was a big help in preparing this. Brooke and I provided a lot of information to her. That was due November 30th. It has been submitted for 4 kiosks, 4 trailhead kiosks. 2 at Bear Trap, 1 at Biathlon, and 1 at the archery range. The reason those sites were picked is because the county owns that property. We didn't have enough time to basically try and do one at the Trail Center under this grant because we have to provide a lot of information about our long-term lease. You have to have it for at least over 26 years. There's a lot of legal information about the property that we would have had to gather, and we just didn't have the time. So we're not giving up on those other kiosks. Those are gonna be maybe incorporated into the Trail Center construction or something else. And I think Skunk Hollow was the other one that we did not include, just because the city owns that property. So I believe we should know if we get that grant in February? Yeah, February.
What is the lease that we have with the city?
I don't know exactly. They just own that property that the maze and the trail center and all that is on. I haven't gotten into the weeds on what exactly that covers and how that works.
Might be a 100-year lease.
Right. Yeah, the grant required you to have a minimum of 26 years left on your lease to do a project on a leased property, so.
Well, hopefully we can incorporate that in the new lodge, because, well, it'd be hard to put one there now anyway, so we're gonna be wiping
Correct.
it all out.
So,
Well, while we're here, anything else on that grant?
no, that's all I had on the
Questions?
grant.
Doug, any questions on the grant? While we're on the mountain, Doug, would you like to talk about Crimson Dawn?
Oh,
Sure. So, as an addendum to the agenda, I included my notes from, I had a little get-together with the Crimson Dawn Association. And they had a lot of great information to convey about Crimson Dawn, including some statistics and numbers about the utilization and attendance over the past couple of years and their fundraising. And it really highlights and underscores how important to the community Crimson Dawn is, and especially the Midsummer's Festival. And they would like to reintroduce a working relationship with the county to further long-term plans. And they didn't have anything that struck me as being anything unreasonable. Like the main goals in the short and medium term is to work with the county to restart the MOU process so that we get a lasting document that will outline what the county and the Crimson Dawn and the family's vision is for the park and ownership of responsibility, so that as county boards and commissions change memberships and staff changes, we still have a long-term document that will serve as a cohesive outline of what we want to do with Crimson Dawn and who does what. I think that was a really great idea, and I would really recommend that the county and board work with the Crimson Dawn Association to flesh out and restart that MOU process. They brought up some other maintenance and other concerns that are outlined there that we should eventually talk about in the medium and long term, but I think the MOU and then looking towards maintenance on fencing were their principal short-term goals. And I think we should start up maybe a subcommittee group with the Crimson Dawn Association to keep that moving forward and see what we can do to really retain and improve and make sure that the Crimson Dawn is a gold star portion of the county parks, because everybody in the county really loves it. One of the key takeaways that was listed there was that it's been voted numerous times as the most popular county park. So I think that just underscores the importance of it to the community, and I think there isn't a lot of work that we would have to do to move forward with maintaining it and making sure it's a lasting contribution to our park system.
And Doug, I want to apologize. I grabbed an older draft. I did not grab my amended agenda, which I included that on, so that's why I overlooked that. So I do apologize. I wanted to try to exclude that.
Oh, no worries.
Hey Doug, have you had time to check with Eric on the past MOU that we had with them?
Yeah, I emailed him, but I haven't got a response back, so I'll have to see if I can give him a call. I'm sure he's buried under innumerable things as always, so I'll try to not make too much of a pest of myself, but still see if I can find out where we are and what it would take to get that conversation restarted.
I noticed in your write-up here that they were looking into writing some grants. Is that in the process, or?
Yes. Yes, and that was one of the things that I think we could greatly assist each other, because when there's two sides to grant writing, we can have the county be writing some grants as we're doing for some of the signage and kiosk stuff, and the Crimson Dawn Association is already active on writing grants as well. But I think having both the association and county resources in close communication will allow for more rapid and accurate submission to these. For example, when the Crimson Dawn Association is creating some grant applications, there's information they don't have access to that only the county has. For example, details about legal ownership, or maintenance budgets, or other things of that nature that is county purview. So it really takes, even if they are spearheading a particular grant writing effort, they really need to rely on some county resources to fill in some of the information they need to be successful in their efforts. So I think that's one area that they would really like to have a better, closer, and more timely dialogue with the county on. So I would gladly serve as a liaison for that and contact with Michael whenever there's information that the Crimson Dawn Association needs. And likewise, if Michael or any other county resources are looking at some grant writing and they need some more details or historical information that the Crimson Dawn Association has, they'd be happy to provide that stuff. I was quite surprised that I wasn't aware of the attendance numbers or some of the other information that they provided, and that probably would be very beneficial to any county sourced fundraising or grant writing efforts as well.
Okay, I think reading through there, just to clarify something, Doug, the two toilets that were, one at Biathlon and one in the maze, that was done through a Natrona County Recreational Board grant? And
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Crimson Dawn would be available, or could it be looked at that way, but they would be in a historical preservation type. I worked on a grant a little bit with Roosevelt when it was petitioning in for a historic site. And it looked like there was a lot of money there. So if they haven't looked into that
Yeah.
they might have. They might look into it.
Yeah, if anything that you can send me on that, Jim, I'd be happy to work with them. 'Cause I think there's some small projects that if we secured funding for would make a fairly large impact in a short or medium term time frame.
Okay?
Any other questions, concerns?
No, I just want to say that the Parks Department is going to review this, these minutes a lot closer and see where we can improve and where we can work better together with the Crimson Dawn Association. And yeah, I'm all for working closer with the different groups to improve our parks, for sure. So,
Yeah, maybe you and I can get a meeting scheduled with them just so we can get everybody on the same page and throw some ideas against the wall and try to work out short, medium, and long-term outlines.
yeah, I think that would be a good plan and a good place to start.
I'm glad we got the communications going with that group again. This is the most updated list. I've never seen a real list like this from them on what all is needed up there, what they're asking for. So this is wonderful. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for everybody on that team who came up with that. That's going to be very helpful for us, I think. All right, anything else on the mountain before we move on?
I don't think so.
Let's go ahead and do the lakes update.
Typical thing, road maintenance project, there will be ongoing road maintenance in the cabin area. The storms really, we're still seeing effects of those, so there'll be some culverts installed, some grading, some riprap to prevent stormwater discharge, things of that sort, as well as in the Black Beach and Cottonwood roads, they need some work. We have some culverts that are filled up that need to be cleaned out. A Cottonwood I know of for sure. The full hookup bathhouse, we're basically awaiting the final billing on a change order. It's all planned to be opened up to the public when we open up the lake in '22. Everything's in place, everything's working. We did get it winterized when we closed off the water to the trailers and everything for the winter. So yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna like that and enjoy it.
Absolutely, I can't wait for it.
Any questions on the bathhouse?
Think you're good. Thank you, sir.
The Pathfinder Master Plan Project, so there was a resource management plan in 2012 with the Bureau of Rec. It basically gives some concepts to improving the campgrounds. Since we've done so much work at Alcova lately, we now have proposals, request for proposal at Pathfinder for engineering for Diabase Campground, Sage Campground, and Weiss, which are all between the dam and the marina. We received 5 written proposals there. We reviewed them and scored them, picked the top 2, brought them in for interviews, reviewed and scored again, and I think it was yesterday, day before, we did price negotiation contract, and so we're awaiting their final draft of the contract to present to the legal department. Same kind of schedule, we're hoping to get those engineers in front of the commission to award a contract on the 21st or the following, in 2 weeks in January. The plan there is they are going to engineer, design all 3 campgrounds at once, including boat ramp improvements and all of that. And then the construction will be done in phases. So the plan is to hopefully have the first campground, Diabase, closest to the marina, done in the fall of '22, spring of '23. And then contract and do the next campground, hopefully the following year, as long as the lake funds are available to do that work and get them done in 3 years, kind of thing. But it'll all be designed together, so it all flows together. The patterns of traffic, the site layouts, all of that'll be similar in all 3 campgrounds. So,
Okay. We'll have to get the public involved. I'd sure like to have some public meetings.
yeah, once we get some conceptuals from the engineer that's chosen, yeah, we'll get that in front of the public as well to show them, you know, what their plan is, where we can improve it. I'm kind of excited about the project because I've done a lot of dirt work in my life, so looking at plans and things, I'm kind of interested in that and how they're going to regrade some of that and work it in. Their concepts, they actually were able to add a couple of campsites. We're talking about, there's some tent camping planned in a couple of campgrounds, and the resource management plan concept had it as basically you park at one end and hike all the way down to your site. Well, they kind of they're going to redesign that to where at least you can park one vehicle there, you know, so you don't have to drag your cooler a quarter of a mile. And then some group camping sites as well, you know, where you can have 4 or 5 camp trailers camp together.
I think that'll be great.
So, yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I think the public's going to like it as we go down that
Yeah,
road.
and Michael, are they also including the dump station there? Because Pathfinder is one of the camping areas, the few ones that we have that has an actual dump station. So if
yeah,
they're going to be redoing those.
I believe the dump station, from my understanding, works well, the station itself, but I think the biggest improvement that's probably we're going to see in this is the access in and out, because those corners are 90-degree corners. They're hard to take a trailer
Exactly,
around.
yeah.
So I think we're going to see that happen as we go through these campgrounds, yes.
So, Michael, do you have any drawings at all?
No,
Okay, not yet, okay.
I have some
The
conceptual
drawings will
stuff,
come in the
but-
next phase, Stuart, just
Right.
like with the
Right.
other engineering.
Sounded like
people.
he had something, so I was
I've
asking.
seen some concepts that they've
Okay.
sketched out, and some of those are in proposals that we won't actually see, you know, because they're different engineers and there's, I'm not sure how it works, but you don't disclose all of that
Right.
per se. And then the trailer park, I've done my 3rd and final walkthrough of the 150-plus trailers with the NRS at the Bureau Rec. They wanted to do an annual walkthrough. They're mostly looking for safety concerns. I took the opportunity to basically take pictures to inventory each and every lot, since I was already walking around them. So I think yesterday I took over 400 photos, and I only did a third of it. You know, some of the big safety things we're seeing is, you know, there's some stairs that don't have handrails. They should probably have handrails. They may have been grandfathered in, but since it's public property, I think the Bureau of Rec's probably gonna say we should put handrails on them. There's propane bottles that are not secured. I mean, they're 3 and 4 feet tall and they're just self-standing. Things like that. And so this is gonna be a lengthy process, and we're gonna be sending letters out to the lot permittee saying, you know, you need to correct this. Some sites have some weeds that should have probably been taken care of. I mean, there's some maintenance things, but there's some safety things. So I'm gonna prepare letters or for each individual lot, over 150 lots. So we wanna maintain what we have, and we don't wanna give the Bureau of Rec opportunity to change what we have because we're neglecting it.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of where it's at, but I haven't seen anything super significant that is like immediate safety issue.
That's good.
Yeah, and I'll keep you guys up to date on that.
Fantastic.
The last thing I have at the lake is, since April 1st, I have reviewed 80 construction applications for the cabins, the trailers, the ski clubs, the boat clubs. And we have 14 of them that are still in review.
They at the BOR or,
A lot of it's the BOR waiting. I probably have 4 or 5 of those that I have not sent to the Bureau of Rec. Dredging requests to dredge out their docks because all the sediments filled it in, things like that. You know, some dock replacements, deck replacements, retaining walls, different things like that. So it's been a process, but we have it going fairly well between Parks and the Bureau of Rec. And so hopefully there haven't been too many complaints about us not getting their construction applications reviewed or anything like that, so.
I sure have not heard anything. I think everybody's using the system now. I don't know how many people got caught this summer building something they did not.
Parks issued 7 warning letters for unauthorized construction out of 100 cabins and over 150 trailers. We issued 7. Now that we have lot permits in place, there's penalty clauses in, well, you've probably seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Penalty clauses to be able to enforce some of that. But while we were trying to get those permits in place and signed, we opted to give a warning letter because the penalty was new. And so that's in their file. Out of the 7, I believe we have 1 that's kind of contesting it. And I'm not sure the status of that right now.
Okay. I did hear from somebody who you talked to, and the word got around. He spread it around quite fine, so that's what we wanted. They
And
need
if
to
you
come
have the
see us.
amended agenda, I don't know if there's anything else on there for.
Reservation system, I believe
Oh, okay.
they met the other day with another company.
We did meet with another company the other day. We're reviewing their pricing. We feel like they're maybe a better system. They're used around the state. I don't know if it's the state that uses it, state parks. Anyways, it's more user-friendly, more interactive. But we gotta kind of square up what pricing model there is. There's a couple different pricing models. I mean, one of them's, the county gets it for free. But there's a reservation fee that would be tagged on to the customer, and that same reservation fee would be tagged on if they canceled. So they would get it
Double
twice.
dip,
So,
huh?
I mean, you know, if you're staying for 10 nights, it's not a big deal. It's a couple extra bucks. But if you're staying for 1 night, it's a couple extra bucks on $10. So, you know, we got to look at that and see which pricing model would work best. But the Parks Department feels we could probably get it in place. We would keep Civic Rec up until we're ready to flip the switch. But I think we could do that before the season starts.
Then just transfer everything over and a
Yes.
day later or so, open it up for the new one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the plan. I don't know if we're not 100% yet. We still got to settle if this is the one we want to go with, but Civic Rec has left us hanging
Yeah.
on some things. We've had some issues that were because of their updates, and we've been neglecting. They just frankly don't. My opinion is they don't care. This is what you get. And it's not working, so.
That's okay, there's others.
Exactly.
There are others, so that's great. I know we need to still talk maybe a little bit more about what rules we want to put on the reservation system since we've gone a full year. You know, we sure take comments from the public. Anybody has any ideas? We're going 90 days out for a reservation right now. Is that too long? We'll sure take comments. I personally believe 90 days is too far out, but that's just me, so we'll look at those. I think Doug, you had some comments on that also, on the reservation system.
Yes. Well, I was starting into reviewing some national articles on the whole pandemic impacts on camping and reservation systems. And it was quite interesting that Wyoming State Parks was flagged in the national article as a model to look at to deal with some of the no-show issues that we had raised previously. So I think when we do look at some potential changes to our models, I think we ought to look at the state park reservation rules. They have some really good things to deal with no-shows and to prevent that from being abused, and also to prevent the 90-day window from being abused. So I think we have some models so we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Good.
And it seems to be working out pretty good for the state. So, and it would also provide some consistency then for other residents that also use the state system, and they wouldn't be having to learn a whole new fine print for the reservation system.
That sounds great. I want to see it. Maybe we can roll all that out at the same time we do the new reservations. All at
Yeah,
once. Some public and comments out there, some advertising. Here, Brooke, I haven't even talked to you about this. Have you heard anything back on the reservations through the tourist group?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I have heard is from the resident perspective, not having all of the campgrounds tied up in the reservation system. So having some camping that is first come, first served for people who live here, that was probably the biggest complaint that I got. So hopefully that'll be revisited too as part of this. And I think your idea to solicit public feedback on how to do this, I know we had to get it in the parks rules and move on things to get that thing implemented, but I think now is a really good time to revisit that.
We've had a year of it, so we kind of have a little bit of experience now, so that's good. Thank you. Do you know if they were talking more on the mountain or at the lake? I mean, because we have open ones at the lake, the mountains, everything was on the reservation system, I believe, so. Mountain, okay. Sheriff is going to talk to us?
Yeah, so the lake, there's, I work out there all summer, so the common, what most people are saying, there's at Okie Beach, there's spots where people, local residents use all the time, right? And they couldn't this year. So that was one of the spots. We were kind of hoping as the deputies out there, we're hoping that they would make 3 or 4 spots, first come, first serve out there. Same thing with Black Beach. It's a common place. Both of those beaches for people fishing are pretty high. So when they're full up and the local people can't use them, we're hearing about it. So
Yeah.
I
Good.
know those other campgrounds are open, West Side and Fremont, but those campgrounds haven't been redone yet either. So
No.
So most of these people, our residents want to use those spots. They can get those campers in without having a whole lot of troubles, so. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, of course, it's a U.S. park, basically, so that's BOR land, so we can't make it better for the residents against non-residents. It's got to be fair for everybody. We got to be very careful with that, with the BOR.
Stuart, one of the concerns with, like having a few spots, first come, first serve in one of the campgrounds is the cash management.
Yeah.
The ticket system, and that's a lot of where this reservation comes from, is the county doesn't have to handle cash. And that's why we're trying to get away from it. One possible solution that I just thought of is, we have a 90-day reservation system, but I don't know if we could take 4 or 5 spots and put them at you only have a 2-day window to reserve it. So, somebody that wants to go out there for the weekend, a couple days before thinking about it, they can see if that spot's open. And then, it opens it up, but it keeps us from handling the cash. And that's a big thing is cash handling.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that's the way of the world with, especially, you just never know. Boxes have been broken into, things like that. So, and with the envelope system, people were always like, well, I was just about to take it up there.
Yeah.
When somebody checks. So, that's why we're trying to get away from the cash. But I still see the point of we need to have opportunity for somebody just to roll up on the weekend. And maybe a short window for reservations might be the solution. I don't know. So,
Good
I'm
things to
open
look
to
at.
ideas. We are open to ideas. So.
Yeah, let's throw them out there. Do you know how it looks for what we collected last season through cash compared to this season?
I do not.
Okay, I'd sure like to see what that
Haven't
is.
seen those numbers yet.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna start compiling those very soon to see that. And of course, 2020 is kind of an oddball year, so if we have the numbers, maybe we need to look over a few years to kind of see where we ended up. And if the reservation system, if we came short because we don't allow 4 campers in an Okie Beach spot, where all of them were paying and we're only taking 1. So, yeah.
Yeah, we need to see what the numbers are.
Yeah.
20, the season of 20 and also 21, the lake use, all our parks use was so incredible. I mean, we were packed all the time, so I'd really like to see what those are. It'd be interesting. Any other comments, questions on any of the lake items? All right. I think at this point we go to public comment. Anybody in public like to talk?
Good evening.
Can you give us your name and address, please?
Nicole Kramer. My address is 4010 West 39th Street here in Casper, 82604. I just wanted to come tonight to let you all know that we have started a new biathlon and endurance club here in Casper, and we are called WyoBeat. It is Wyoming Biathlon Endurance and Altitude Training. So I just wanted to introduce ourselves. A lot of us are former members of Casper Mountain Biathlon Club, but we've started a new club with the athletes who used to be there. And just also letting you know, we're going to be doing some Nordic camps over break for middle schoolers. We're going to conduct those around the high school practices for any of the middle schoolers who want to join, because the middle school schedule is getting started so late. And just wanted to offer opportunities for training for those kids. And we're really excited about our new start. And I'll take any questions if you have any.
Where do you plan to conduct the Nordic camps at?
At the Nordic Trail Center.
At the Nordic Trail
Yeah.
Center?
And that is kind of one of the questions we had too, is do you want us to notify you when we do those kind
Yeah,
of
we
things?
should probably talk and just see what type of requirements. I don't know if our risk management has anything. Since it's not the school district, we probably should just talk and make sure we have all our bases covered. So feel free to give me a call anytime and we can set it up here next week and meet.
Okay, that sounds good. And our head coach is Ken Mick, so I'm just the vice chair of the board and sort of the organizer and the mouthpiece. So,
Okay.
but we are a USBA club, so we have our insurance through USBA.
We want to make sure we have a good schedule of what's going on, so we don't make conflicts up there. A lot
Yeah.
of people want to use that area. We used to have a schedule back in a day, a calendar we need to make sure we do.
Well, currently we have a calendar, I believe Tori provided this. I have a calendar that we provided to emergency services, but it has a headlamp series, Mangus, the annual Taste of Trails, as well as the high school races. She included all the out-of-town high school races, so I just kind of redlined through those, but it has all the high school races as well as middle school. Yeah, so headlamp, Mangus, middle school, high school, and Taste of Trails on there. So we would basically, and that's the thing is, parks will get notified, and we notify emergency management so that they know there's a large crowd up there. Gives them a heads up of what's going on, which hopefully helps out the deputies.
Yep. And we're planning on, right now, 11 to 1 for the 2 weeks of Christmas, the school's Christmas break for those 4 days. So it's the 20th through the 23rd and the 27th through the 30th. But I will have Ken get in touch with you for sure.
Yeah.
And then our club right now, we have about 10 athletes. We're hoping to grow more, but we will hopefully be practicing at the biathlon venue most of the time, but we are still working through our differences with CNBC.
So you're working on because there's public range hours over there, correct?
Have they been posted? I haven't
I have not
seen.
seen them, and that's a conversation I will be having with the CNBC, so.
Yeah. Well, and we were considering handling their open ranges for them, because we do have a lot of range safety officers in our group, so we're trying to work through those issues right now.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other public comment? Yep. All right. Sheriff's Office, do you all have anything else for us? Anything else for us from the Sheriff's Office?
No, I don't believe so. I apologize for stepping in when it probably should have waited till the end.
Oh, it's, I run a pretty open one here. With a small group, we're okay, but
Yeah,
we're good. We appreciate you coming. We really do.
actually, I guess I do have one question.
Okay?
I know we already went over it, forgot, my brain's, a lot of things going on. Are they gonna work on Black Beach as far as adding like multiple, because there's like 4 or 5 campgrounds there that you can fit easily, like 3 or 4 campers in?
That's a discussion that we're still working on. I kind of thought, if we have some camp spots in Black Beach that can hold 2 or 3 campers, we can look at putting that in the reservation system still, but allowing multiple trailers in there. And, obviously the rate would increase. One person would be responsible for the whole site.
Correct.
But
So,
you could have 3 trailers in there, and so, with that, the rate would be for 3 trailers, whether you reserve it for your 1 trailer to have a bigger spot by yourself, or you reserve it to have your friends in there.
yeah, so I use the state one all the time. I use it for when I'm camping up in the Bighorns, and it's exactly like that. I put it on there, I put 3 campers, and then I put 3 vehicles and 2 trailers, and they charge you for a trailer. They charge you per extra vehicles. You get 1 extra vehicle
Right.
per camper, and then they charge you like $10 for extra vehicles, like if you bring a boat trailer or something, they charge you $10 for it, right?
Okay.
Per night, so, which is not a big deal, I don't care, so, I pay for my 3 friends, and then they just reimburse me, right? So I
And
end
is
up,
the Forest Service the same as like the state parks?
I think so.
So, yeah,
It's super easy.
a potential that
Yeah.
that would be easy with the new program.
So,
Yeah, the states and National Forest Service and some BLMs have group sites like that, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, writing notes here, being able to charge for extra vehicles or trailers, maybe something we should think about. I hate to throw those out, but might as well. All right, board comments. Jim?
I don't have any comments, Chairman. 0 tonight.
Wow. Doug?
The only other comments I would have is, Michael, you were discussing a calendar of events at the Trail Center area, and if we have that in the parks inventory, if we could get that on the web pages, I think that would be informative to the public if we had some way of having a parks event calendar or something for all our various properties. I think that would be a good way to communicate to the public and get the word out on some of this as well.
Okay, yeah, we can look into that for sure. I might need some help from IT.
Anything else, Doug?
Gotta love IT.
That's funny, I was going to mention an online calendar also. When you talk about the trails, if you're going to take a family up, and you can look online and say, oh, there's a state high school meet there now. You can change when you're going to go up. So to have that available for the public, that'd be really helpful.
I do have a comment.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
all right.
a slow processor.
Jim?
Okay, IT. It's been great to see the grooming report from Joe or to you or whoever gets it online that we get to read. But I think it would be really helpful if the biathlon folks would also send that to you. So the community knows if they're grooming or what has been groomed.
Okay,
At the present, nobody knows when they're grooming. And that would give the whole Nordic Trail System input to the community.
yeah, I'll talk to Rob about that and see what we can come up with to get that posted.
The blog's great. Thank you for keeping it up this year. It's been very handy to know what kind of snow we have up there, or lack thereof. All right, Commissioner Kaufman, any comments?
Just quickly, so I appreciate a Parks Board meeting, so it feels like it's been a while, and Mike, you do a great job, and I appreciate the updates. I think you have a commission right now that's very committed to getting several parks projects across the finish line, and some of that's gonna be still going through the public process, and I'm gonna acknowledge it takes always longer than we think, and I don't think that always makes the public happy. However, we are seeing momentum, and I think you're gonna see a lot of projects in 2022 that we've been waiting on a very long time, so those would be my comments, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Signs, we're going to have signs this year, this coming year. You know how long we've been waiting for signs? At least 15 years that I know of, so fantastic. With that, we'll go ahead and end this meeting.